that you're, like, say, for example, if there's like some huge global announcement that, this government is not working, things have to change. It's a critical point now. We ask anyone who wants to actually have a better world and a sustainable world, at least stand up and say, I want a better world. Not necessarily for any particular direction, like, we are the Zeitgeist movement and we want volunteers for a resource bank. Not specifically for that. But I think if there is that kind of scenario where there is some call to arms, a lot of people who carry it sort of like on their sleeve, well, not on their sleeve, or in their heart, as it were, then they will just say, yeah, I'm not happy with the government. I want something better. And I think a lot of, whoa, crikey, you all right?
I'm okay. That was actually my cat.
All right. They are destructive blighters sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah, and I saw a disaster coming, and I thought, maybe I should interrupt and go do something. And I was like, no, she'll be fine. And then 2 seconds later, there's a crash.
She'd take loads of things down with her.
Exactly. Yeah, Justin always calls her the most ungraceful cat ever.
Which is strange, being a cat. They are normally quite graceful.
Exactly.
Yeah, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. But yeah, I would say normally the kind of people who would just identify with these values, they would stand up and say, yes, I'm not happy with the government. I want something better. And I think, I think that's where a lot of times, certainly myself, I've probably fallen victim to this. When I've conversed with people about this train of thought, I've tried to sort of encourage them to do a similar thing to what I'm doing, instead of just merely introduce them to the train of thought and then just leave it with them, because I mean, would you say that you've had that sort of problem when you first started? You try to maybe say, well, maybe you should consider joining the movement, or have you always sort of just left people with it?
I don't tend to talk to people about joining the movement necessarily. This could be my own, I don't want to say insecurities, but my own reservations that I have about when I'm approached about things like that. It tends to turn me off a little bit. Like, what's this person trying to get me to do or join? There's all kinds of, there's just, the world is so untrusting now because we live in this market system. Everybody's always trying to get one up on you, there's multi-level marketing and there's just brainwashing cults and there's all this stuff. And so I feel like the less I try to convince somebody that they have to join something, the more they focus on the actual train of thought and the information that's being presented. So it really depends on at what level the person is. I've had people actually come to me and say, what can I do to help? I've seen some of this. I've seen some of Jacques' materials, or I've been reading up on, Buckminster Fuller, or I've seen some of Federico's talks, and I'm really interested. What can I do? And that's when I'll be like, hey, join the movement. Cause that person is literally just putting it out there and saying, what can I do? So they're not going to be afraid of the word, quote, join. If I say, hey, here's a website, sign up, you get the newsletter, here's our blog, keep up with that. And here's some things you can do to, raise awareness in your community or online and things like that. So for people like that, I might say, hey, you know what, join. But if I'm just talking to somebody about it for the first time and maybe they don't even know what the Zeitgeist movement is, I probably wouldn't say anything about joining necessarily. I like to plant the seed. That's really all I'm doing is I'm out there just planting the seed of starting to grow a conversation in this direction. Are you even aware that the current system isn't our only option, and that the system that we're talking about is in a lot of ways inevitable? Not that we couldn't go in the complete opposite direction and destroy ourselves, but I just mean a lot of the tendencies that we're talking about, like technological unemployment and things like that, are happening anyway, whether we want them to or not. So I love what Peter says at the end of one of his talks. I can't remember which one. I want to say it's Where Are We Going? It's either Where Are We Going or Where Are We Now, I think. And at the end, he says, what we want doesn't have anything to do with anything. We have no bearing on this. This is all stuff that's happening anyway. The world is changing anyway. The Zeitgeist movement's only role is to ease that process and that transition, so it's not the most horrible thing, the most painful thing. And it's like, I totally agree with that. All we're trying to do is increase everybody's understanding of what's going on and why, you know, like that's why I don't know, did I mention on the last radio show about the drinking game? I think I did. When you're watching some, you know, politician on TV, you can drink every time they say unemployment or drink every time they say jobs. That's why these things are being discussed on TV, not because there's some inherent problem in our world, but because the system that we have isn't conducive to where the economy is going in terms of our production capacity. So all we're trying to do is increase everybody's understanding, and if anything, raise an intelligent dialogue about it where people aren't constantly running away from buzzwords that they don't like. And the problem with that is even the terminology I'm using now is very insulting to some people. Some people take that as, oh, did you hear that? She just said they're trying to increase everybody's understanding. That means that they're smart and we're dumb. That means that they're somehow more enlightened than we are. And it's like, you know what? I actually plan to do a video about this because I think people should start to embrace being wrong and just like it. I like being wrong. I think it's fun because once I know I'm wrong, I get to be right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you're never wrong, then you're just always wrong because you don't know, you haven't learned anything. And, you know, a good example of this is we were talking about making a research-based economy video game. And I remember I was writing down on the Google Doc all the notes and all the different ideas that we wanted to use. And I said, oh yeah, we need, you know, educational facilities. So we'd have interactive universities and stuff that the character can participate in. And I said something about interactive universities. And then I remember further down, one of the other team members wrote something like, schools. And I went on there and I commented and I said, oh, I already put that. I put interactive universities. And then he goes, English wasn't his first language, so he said something like, oh, even the small children, they go to interactive university too? And I was just like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Oops. Just kidding. You're right. You know, so it's like, I could have been like, oh my God, and been all argumentative and defensive about it, but it's like, he was totally right. I was wrong. I didn't think of that. And I thought it was funny. I was like, I didn't think of that. Good point. And it's like, I really don't mind being wrong. I don't mind it. And I think that when you get into debates, people assume that it's an ego thing and you want to be right. And it's like, no, if I really had to describe what that is, it's me being very adamant about you understanding why I'm taking the position that I'm taking. If I'm debating with an anarchical capitalist and I'm going, no, you know, you don't understand sustainability, or you don't understand abundance, or no, I disagree because, and I'm being argumentative, it's not because I want to be right. It's because I feel like you don't understand why I'm taking the position I'm taking. The moment you have shown me that you understand my position and you can debunk it, I'm going to be like, well, son of a bitch, you're right. Holy crap, this is the dumbest idea ever. Why was I advocating this? Jesus. Okay, I'm going to make a whole new channel called something else, and we're going to do that. I don't mind changing my mind, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I say to some people who, you know, there's actually some people who, in conversation to me, they've actually admitted, yeah, I want to be right. You know, I hate being wrong. And I say to them, well, and I actually said to them, well, if that was the case, why did you ever go to school? You know, why did you go to school if you didn't want to? If you already know, if you're already right, why did you ever want to learn anything? And in fact, why are you even talking to me? Why are you even talking to anyone? Why are you even alive? Why are you even allowing, you know, your life experience to carry on piling on, teaching you new things about this world that you live in if you hate being wrong? Because every new thing that you experience, like say for example, if you're a fan of a certain TV show or something and you didn't know that they were making a new series, when you find out that they are making a new series and you didn't know that before, are you excited about that? Or do you think, do you know what? No, I didn't know that they were going to make a new series.
That's a great example.
They shouldn't make a new series just so I can be right in about that, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, well, you know, some people do, unfortunately, because of our culture, oh gosh, I could just go off on a whole nother tangent on it. We have to do another show now next time. Can we do a part 3? No. But it's just because of our culture, some people really do they value and they cherish their ego more than their life experiences and learning something and actually being right. They'd rather just convince somebody else that they are right and get that ego boost of, I feel important. I feel like I know something. And it's not even always their fault, because our culture teaches you it's bad to be wrong. If you're a kid and you're wrong, you get bad grades. That means you're dumb and you can't learn and you're not going to get a good job. Like it's nobody wants to be wrong, because it's a shame in our culture to be wrong and to not know things. And I just think that's so sad. It's just, there's some things that you should probably try to get out and learn, and you should know how to tie your shoes, I guess. But there's some things that you're not going to know everything about. And I think that's why I love researching so much. I've been wrong about so many things. Lately, I've been looking into, veganism and just why people live that lifestyle and the health aspects of it and different things. And there's been a debate about whether humans were ever meant to eat meat in the first place. And if I am being honest, I like meat and I eat meat, and I would like to find research that says we were supposed to be eating meat from day one because of hunters and gatherers and everything like that. But because of my work and because of what I do, as tempted as I am to fall victim to confirmation bias, I'm aware of confirmation bias, and so it's not easy for me. If I wasn't aware of it, then I'd probably do it and be guilty of it. But I'd be like, haha, see, I found this article that says we're supposed to eat meat. End of story. But because I'm aware of what that is, and because I face it every day and I find it so annoying, I actually can't get away with that. I'm like, oh, this is just one article. If you really look into it, you'll find 10 other ones that say why we're not supposed to eat meat or whatever the case may be. So I'm still on that quest right now as we speak. But it's just an example of how if I ever did find myself to be completely wrong, then I would have to admit that,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm afraid that now we've actually run out of time for this particular broadcast, so I'd like to thank you very much for coming back on. We will definitely have to do another show, because normally the being a TZM activist shows, they're normally 2 parts. So I think probably next time we'll have to agree on a theme for a particular one, maybe like the fallacy of always being right. I don't know, maybe.
Oh yeah, I don't think we'll actually be able to find a topic. There's just not enough to talk about here.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, we'll be done in 5 minutes. But anyway, thank you again for coming on. Just an additional note for the sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by zeitlove.com. So go to that website if you're an activist and not getting laid. And also if you go to www.zeitlove.com/AAUTZM and enter in the code name AdamTZM, you'll get 13 free weeks of zeitdungeon.org. So no prizes for guessing what that site's about. But as for the next podcast, I'm very pleased to announce that I'm going to be having on Tyson Eberly from Zeitgeist Live. If anyone remembers Tyson Eberly and his fantastic dancing, he's going to be on the next podcast. But as for this particular podcast, we've run out of time. So I thank you very much for coming on, Brandy. I thank everyone else for clicking in and listening. So it's a goodbye from me, and say goodbye, Brandy.
Bye, everybody.